Shabbat Shalom, fam. This is your boy Yemi'el Ben Yehuda here with the Awakening Remnant Coalition Dallas. We just want to say Shabbat and welcome everybody to another Shabbat Day class with us. We are grateful to be here. We are waiting on our other brothers to come in, but we are still Genesis chapter 1. We're going over verses 14 through 19. Just because of the season that we're in, we want to visit this because even though it only talks about the sun, the moon, the stars, and what they govern, as you've seen in the last few weeks of classes, on just these 5 little verses, and I hate to say little verses, but these 5 verses, they give you a foundation to why the Sabbath is the way that it is. And I'm grateful because even though I'm teaching and I'm assisting in teaching and I'm dealing with my brothers as they teach, I'm learning as well. So don't think that you're sitting here alone and you're the only one that's learning anything new. To be honest with you, we're all getting fed. I'm being fed. And this is expanding how I look at the Shabbat just because of what he hung in the sky. And so we're going to cover the last little bit of this topic. Then on next week, being that we're going into the Shabbat, going into the Pesach next week, we got a little announcement to make, and I'm going to allow the other brothers to make this announcement. We're going to have us a class, and right now I'm just waiting on brother Joseph to come in. Want to thank everybody for your time. It goes unsaid that you could be anyplace else, but you chose to be here with us. It's not taken for granted. We are grateful here at the RDFW because you have allowed us to have part of your Shabbat day. And so we're very thankful. Get ready to begin our lesson. I'm going to bring in Brother Yosef. Shabbat Shalom, Marquis.
Shabbat Shalom, my brother. Shabbat Shalom, family.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right, all right. What's going on, Mike? So basically, we on last couple of weeks we've been talking about the importance of why the Father hung the sun, moon, and the stars. Basically, people, we want you to understand that they're not just here or they're not just up in the sky for nothing. They have a very important purpose, and this is something that I was not taught in church. This was something that our pastors don't look at and they don't understand a lot of times because they don't look at the earth in the same relativity that we should. So, one thing, the sun, it marks time. The moon helps to mark days and seasons. And these things are what we're supposed to look for. These signs are what we're supposed to look at when we are trying to get on schedule of the Father. The Father put them there so we could have a reference, so we can be on His schedule. Not our own schedule, but on His, because He makes dates with us according to His schedule, if this makes sense. And this date that is coming up, in the church, they would say Easter, but we understand what that word Easter means. We, as followers of the Most High, know that this is Pesach or Passover, the season. And so, how are we supposed to recognize those days if we don't get on the Father's time? So, once again, I'm Yahoo bin Yehuda. This is my brother Yosef. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna go from there.
Shabbat Shalom, families. Brother Yosef, Art DFW, Awakening Remnant Coalition, DFW. And we are excited and delighted and pleased and humbled to be with the family this on this Shabbat afternoon. And just want to once again looking forward to the study. Um, in line with what Maury Yemi was saying about the sun and the moon, that they do mark the times and the seasons. The moon, if I may add, the moon marks the month. The moon is the lunar, the lunar. What would you call it?
Cycle.
Cycle. There you go. Thank you. Lunar cycle lets us know where we are in the month. The sun lets us know where we are in the day, during the day or in the year. And so, and then the stars, the sun, moon, and the stars, they all give us our direction, where we are in relation to our location, how to navigate the seas and things of that sort. And so they were put there for us on our behalf. These heathens are wasting a whole lot of money trying to get to the moon and Mars and wherever else they're trying to go, figuring out whether there's life there. And if we stay with the strict interpretation of what Torah gives us, that they were created for the purposes that we've just read. And so we waste a whole lot of time and a whole lot of speculation on some things that really are none of our business. Whether there's life out there or not, if the Father wanted us to know, He would have disclosed those things to us. And so, even just to play devil's advocate, if there is life out there, the Father again just basically told us none of your business. And the biggest trouble we ever get into, and y'all know this to be true, sometimes we get ourselves in the biggest trouble we've ever had or ever will have, messing in other folks' business. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sometimes we refuse to mind our own business. You got folk that'll be on the highway and they'll wreck trying to watch somebody else's wreck. So just again, all praises to the Most High, to His Son Yeshua, to Ruach Hakodesh, to the 12 tribes scattered, dispersed but not destroyed. We just again excited to be here with you all this morning. I want to share. I had a conversation with Brother Malak earlier, and I want a challenge, and maybe most of you all are doing this, but this is part of my Sabbath day experience. Is that in the morning I'm doing just basically just reading. I get in the Bible and just read. And I'm amazed. I am just simply amazed at how the Most High reveals Himself, reveals the secrets of His Word to me personally during those, during just simply on the Shabbat, just sitting down in the morning and just reading the Bible. And he's been knocking me out of my chair on these Shabbat morning readings. He's just been blowing my mind. Some things that I'm not at liberty to share, I was sharing with Brother Malak we were having a conversation. He said, Joseph, you need to teach that. When I said, man, I can't teach that. It just blew my mind. I gotta let that marinate for a while before I share something like that. I just don't want to come off the top of my head on that. But I just want to challenge all of us if you're not already doing this, because I'm confident that most of us are. But just during those Shabbat mornings, just read the scriptures. Read the scriptures. And while you're reading, have an attitude of prayer, asking the Ruach to open your eyes, open the ability to understand, open up the eyes of my understanding, Yahuwah, that I might know your word. And so, again, I cannot stress enough how excited we are to be with you, um, making preparations to uh, have a face-to-face meeting coming up next week. We're looking forward to that because I miss the fellowship. There's no substitute. Um, Brother Maury Yemi and Brother Malak and we were all on a call together yesterday, and we were sharing with one another how there is no substitute for just seeing one another face to face, being in one another's presence, being able to worship and praise and fellowship um, together as a family. And so we do miss that. We do. We miss that. We miss you terribly. We miss one another terribly, and we're just looking forward to being able to come together. Um, I'm not going to go any. I could go a little deeper than that, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to just uh, give Moray all of the time and space that he needs um, to teach us, to inspire us, and enlighten us as we fellowship in His Word.
Shalom again. Thank you to everybody in the chat portal. Mike, everybody that's come into the chat, I want to welcome you. Brother Steve, thank you again for your love and your salutations to the Vale family. Thank y'all as well. When we go into chapter, let's go into verse 14 real quick. Let's go into chapter 1. Let's start at verse 14. I'm going to have them read it again, and then I'm going to touch a few things, and then this is just a summary lesson. So we're not going to be here long. This Shabbat, I want to give y'all some time to think about some things. Things first. And I want to touch,
Okay.
what's up, Tori? I want to touch base with y'all about this. We spend a lot of time as a people looking down. We miss all the important moments. I'm guilty of this. And so I want to share this with you. My wife is hot at me because I spend a lot of my time looking down.
Mm-hmm.
Not focusing a lot of times on that thing which is the most important. The Father put the sun, the moon, and the stars in the heaven or in the Shamayim so that there would be no excuse for us to look down.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to look up is your salvation. Understand this. When you meet him at the appointed places at the appointed time, you are counted
Mm-hmm.
in that number because you were obedient. Think about Abraham, and one of the things that people fail to realize when we look at our father Abraham, the father of the the creator or the father of many nations. He found favor with Yah because he obeyed his
Mhm.
laws,
Mhm.
his statutes, and his commandments.
Mhm.
This was before Moses ever received a tablet. These laws were enacted and were in place. This first chapter of Genesis is establishing the law of nature. And what y'all don't realize is that we fall inside of that law. And everything from that law brings out there's obedience to nature because as the seasons come around, so do our feasts. So does our harvest. So does our planting time. So does the
Mhm.
time that we tend to our sheep.
Mhm.
Those are the time that we should be in contact with the Father most. Because
Mhm.
we have gotten away from an agricultural society, we have lost much of who we are.
Mhm.
Dang what they said to you about them stripping our culture away. We actually helped them strip our culture away
Mhm.
because we would much rather go to the store and buy canned food than can it and preserve it ourselves.
Mhm.
Now I know that me and Yosef grew up with grandmothers that preserved foods. I got so tired of eating persimmons and jelly and muscadine jelly, all that stuff. I'm like, can I have some Welch's? No, we have got, and I want to touch this because this is important. We have shed ourselves of our culture as well. It's not just them. We
Yeah.
wanted to be so much like them that we
Mhm.
forgot what made us special.
Mhm.
Our connection to the soil, to the animals, is what sets us apart from
Mhm.
all the other people. Not only that, that's why we are so in tune with the day of rest. If you ever notice on the Shabbat, you get your best rest. Even
Mhm.
when I was in the world, I really didn't want to do nothing on a Saturday. Sit up there and watch college football,
Mhm.
but we have lost track of what it is we're supposed to do as a people. And so it has been placed on my heart for us to start looking up. Start back noticing the time. Start back understanding the seasons and what these things mean and the importance of the rains. We don't like
Mhm.
rain no more. Oh, I hate it when it rains. Do you understand that rain is a blessing?
Mhm.
Because without rain, livestock can't live. Without rain, none of this stuff, your vegetables, your plants, your fruits, they can't
Mhm.
grow.
Mhm.
Okay, this lesson is going to be short, so we're going to go over it real quick. I don't plan on keeping us here all day. We're going to go over this real short. Next week, we're going to talk about we're going to go into Exodus again. We just came out of Exodus. We're going to go back into Exodus and we're going to talk about the Passover, the initial Passover story. But this week, let's just go ahead and finish this about the sun, the moon, and the stars. And then we're going to shut it down for the day. If it takes only 30 minutes, that's all it takes. If it only takes 45 more minutes, that's all it's going to take. Let's do it.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Uh, then Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and it was so.
Stop. Up until this point, the light that was generated on the earth came from the Father. When he said,
Mhm,
let there be light, it was him, his illumination, himself that lit the world. Now he's saying, let there be two other lights to light the world. Now listen, I want y'all to understand this. The he hung them in the heavens to tell days, times, and seasons. This is very important. Once again, I'm telling you, because in these times and in these seasons, there are set aside appointments. And you need to know what these appointment dates are and how to figure
mhm,
them out for yourself so you won't miss them. Many people are missing high holy days because they don't know how to read the signs.
mhm,
They don't know how to look at the moon and see the first sliver of light and count 15 days or 14 days from then. They don't understand the importance of the new moon or the significance of the new moon starting the new month. Right
mhm,
now, we're in the month of Abib, the first month of the year.
mhm,
This is very important to us as Hebrews. This is something important to us as Israelites. We hold on to these days because these are important and because they were commanded to us by the Father. Keep his commandments. Next, let's go.
Verse 16. Then Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
Now, now listen. These lights we touched on the last 2 weeks. The word light is or in Hebrew. Or means exactly what it's a prefix for the word order. Or these lights were to bring order out of darkness. He separated the day from the night. He separated
Mhm,
light from dark. But even in the midst of the dark, he still let there be light. There's a reference point of light, even in the dark. Why? Because there
mhm,
has to be order even in chaos. Chaos does not just run all on its own. There has to be some light there. There
mhm.
has to be a method to the madness. Go ahead, I.
Okay. And Elohim set them, the 17, Elohim set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Remember, there were days before there was a sun. There were days before there was a moon. There were days before there was the sun. I mean, the stars.
Mhm,
This is important for us to know as Hebrews because by going by, so the first moon that was set had to be a new moon. So if the new moon fell on the first day, we're going to read further along down the road. You're going to see that the Sabbath is going to come 3 days from now. If you go by the lunar Sabbath calendar, something's wrong. You're 4 days too early.
mhm,
This is why we have to understand Yah's word reigns over the sun, the moon, and the stars. They don't take precedent over his word. And when the Sabbath was set, he set it in time. And realize that every time he makes a reference to the Sabbath, he always makes a reference not to the evening, but to the day.
mhm.
Even the Messiah said there's only 12 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we look at a 24-hour cycle, realizing that there's an evening or a night, but we only pay attention to that part which is day unless the Father says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into this, coming into Pesach on the 27th, it's going to start that even.
Mm-hmm.
That even and roll around.
Mm-hmm.
But realize that the normal Sabbath is in the day.
Mm-hmm.
That period from sundown to sun up is a period of preparation, and you rest during the day. And I know a lot of people are going to bounce against this. A lot of people are going to say, no, that's not right. You're supposed to rest the whole 24-hour cycle. We are acknowledging the Sabbath day.
Mm-hmm.
It was important that he said Sabbath day. All right. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, yeah, I do. In the Hebraic mind, we have to remember and emphasize there's not a 24-hour day. Light and darkness were divided by Yah. The sun rules over the day. The moon rules over the night. It was understood. It was understood in the Hebraic mind that at night you didn't do anything anyway.
Anyway,
You wasn't doing nothing at night. They didn't have 7-Eleven. They didn't have Walmart, 24-hour, whatever. When the sun went down, it was time to go home. When the sun went down, it was time to go home. And during the first part of that evening after you went home, or when the sun went down, you were making preparation for the next day. But when that sun went down and it got dark, that was night. It was time to go to bed. Time to go to sleep. And so it was understood. I mean, no one was working at night. The only people who were up and around at night were the watchmen, and they weren't up all night. They did 3-hour shifts. The
right.
first, second, third, fourth watches of the night. And so the watchmen would split up those shifts. Yemi knows something about that. I mean, in the army, they had them. They heathen, so they would have them up all night. But in Israel, you were either on one of 4 shifts, 3-hour shifts, watching. Those were the only people that were doing anything at night.
And the
And
process.
so we have to be transformed by the renewing of our minds according to Torah, not according to the tradition of man, not according to our understanding, but what Yah has said and what Yah has instituted. And so it's going to take a while, for those of us who are just waking up to the truth. Some of us are just waking up to the truth. Some of us coming out of Christianity, and our minds. It takes time for our minds to be renewed out of this Western mindset, white supremacist mindset, um, to be able to think Hebraically, to be able to understand Hebraically that at night you weren't working at night, you weren't up all night,
Even
you
the
were asleep.
shepherds brought their sheep in for the
Mm-hmm.
night. They corralled them.
Yeah, they corral them at night.
Unless they were traveling with them, they were pent up at night. They even took
Yeah,
a break.
yeah. Well, actually, even if they were traveling, the shepherd would, and just to give an illustration of Hebraic thought and Hebraic how our forefathers, our ancestors operated. When evening came, say they were traveling, they were out of pocket. The shepherd would take thorns. He would take a bunch of thorns, and he would make a corral. He would build a corral around the sheep, a fence around the sheep. And he would lie down there would be an opening. He would lie down in the opening to protect the sheep from harm.
Yes.
And so no animal or predator could come in, you know, up over the thorn, would look like tumbleweeds, but the thorn, the fence that he built, and the only passageway was through the door. But that was what they did at night. They weren't up traveling, and you couldn't see. You couldn't see the sheep at night. So why would they be? No.
What's up, Zero? But this is very important because we learn that we should function a certain way. And this is why our bodies, things take toll on our bodies the way it does,
Mhm.
because we don't function in the way that our bodies were made for them to function. You know, we want to party and go hang out and jump around and hoop and holler at night and get 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Our body was built to shut it down. I
Mhm.
laugh now, my brother-in-law. I laugh at my brother-in-law, but it's you can set a clock by that joker, man. At 9 o'clock, that joker is sleep. And I ain't talking about going to sleep. I mean sleep. Deep sleep. Me and me and April be laughing at him, but that joker at 9 o'clock, he don't care. We used to teach him when he started having kids, because we was like, who watching the baby? Are you watching the babies or they watching you? Because at 9 o'clock, we didn't give a dang. He was
Exactly.
going to sleep.
Yeah.
This was how our bodies were meant to function. And this
Yeah.
is what brings forth longevity of life. And all these things are to keep the laws. And these are not just spiritual laws written in a book. It's a functional thing about how our bodies are to react and recover.
Mhm.
I'm sharing this with you today because I mean this is just the overview of what we've been covering for the last 2 weeks. But I want to share this with you so you can get a better understanding. When you take care of your body, when you start to understand your biological, uh, you start to do things properly towards yourself, and you start
Mhm.
helping yourself out physically. Um, and it's all about y'all's word and y'all's purpose for us as people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, just imagine turning the Sabbath day into what it was intended to be is a full day of rest,
Mhm.
and watch the increase and the growing of yourself. Um, Not just that, but being obedient to what it is that he wants you to do. He didn't want you to be overtrodden or downtrodden in your bodies. He wanted
Mhm.
you to live in harmony with this world because the world was made for us.
Mhm.
You got anything to add before we close? Because I told
Yes,
you,
yes, I do. I do. A couple of points. Um, this is what Maury Yemi is bringing out to us very beautifully. I want to just expand on it just a little bit because he's done a great job. Um, we are the earth was made for us. The heavens were made for us. The celestial bodies in the heavens were made for us. Y'all didn't need light. He didn't need the sun. He didn't need the stars. He didn't need the moon. He put that there for us. But in doing so, we must understand, beloved, that everything is connected. We are from the earth, so we're connected to the earth. And the sun, we get vitamin, what is it, vitamin D,
yes,
from the sun. And look at this, our ladies, our women. The moon has a lunar cycle, and you have a 28-day monthly cycle, just like the moon. This thing is all connected. And so when we move in the rhythm of Yah's rhythm, according to what he had placed in what he had placed in creation for us, again, our minds, our bodies, our spirit are made whole, and we experience wellness. We experience a refreshing in our bodies when we move according to his cycle. And just by way of a personal observations, just some last couple of days. Well, number one, let me say this. Number one, I work nights, and so the medical profession will tell you that people who work nights, they have a shorter life expectancy. They have various. We have various. What do you call them? Health issues or medical problems that we're susceptible to because we're up, working, moving around, when our bodies, our biological clock, in connection with the celestial clock, is saying it's time to be asleep. So that's one thing. And the second thing, and y'all forgive me, I'm having a senior moment here. This week, daylight saving time was last week. Was that right?
Yep.
And maybe some of you all can relate with me on this. Jack my sleep schedule up. I'm rarely ever late for work. Rarely ever late for work. I was late 3 times. I was late today, like last night. I was late 3 times this week because I slept. I mean, I slept past the time. Normally, I would wake up. My body, my biological clock was set for a certain time, and it stayed at that time. So I would usually get up an hour, before I have to be at work. But now I'm getting up. I got up this morning. It was time for me to be at work, and that's happened 3 times this past week. And that shows you how sensitive our biological clock is, and how the heathens jacking with the time, fall back, spring forward, and all this, leap this and leap that. This throws everything off. But that's by design. That's by design, because they don't want us to. They don't want, if we ever get into a rhythm with Yah, we're going to find out as a people. If we ever get in His rhythm, or when we get in His rhythm, it's not a matter of if, but when we get in His rhythm, we're going to be amazed at what He does in and through us.
Facts. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, I want y'all to understand that it don't take all day to do nothing. But we got to be very attentive to what y'all wants us to do. And this was why I looked at it. It's five verses about the hanging of the moon and the stars. And next week we're going to get into the creation of life as what we know it, the living beings. And I want y'all to start paying very close attention to certain things that are said. I'm gonna hit it, and I know those have been waiting on this part because I'm about to say some stuff that's gonna turn people's heads. They hate me. They ain't gonna understand it, but I'm telling you, you're about to see some things in these next coming verses. He grinning because he know what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna just have to say it the way I gotta say it. So I love each and every one of y'all. I thank y'all for coming to spend this Shabbat with us. Sorry that it was 2 hours. We got something planned for next week. We're gonna be on here the same time next week. Please come and share the first day or Passover with us. So Once again, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And Yosef, you got any words before we go?
Yes, real quick before we sign off. Now, for a number of you, I have your contact information. I have your phone numbers. For those of you that want to be with us next week and you want detailed information, I posted my email address today. I got out of sorts last week. Was supposed to post it last week, but it's there in the YouTube on the YouTube remarks. My email is there. Shoot me an email. Let me know who you are and your contact information. Or if you prefer, we can just go back and forth on email. That's fine. Um, but yeah, email address is there. If you want more detailed information, shoot me email and we'll be sure and get that information to you for those that for those of you that I do not have your cell phone information, we can communicate by email.
All righty. Once again, I want to thank everybody. Thank y'all for keeping me and my family in your prayers. With the death of my mother-in-law and mother in the last few months, it's been hectic in this house. Um, we thank you though, because we've really starting to understand what love is. So I want to thank everybody, and we're gonna say a prayer. Father Yah, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace, your kindness, and your mercy. We thank you for the word that was made flesh and came in the personage of Yeshua HaMashiach. We thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh, or your Holy Spirit. And we just thank you for your guidance through your word. Because if it was not for your word, there would be no life. We thank you for speaking us into existence and molding us with your word. Father, we ask right now that you be with each of us and those who are traveling the highways. We ask for protection. And Yah, and all those who are sitting at home and just relaxing, we ask that you bring perfect peace to them, that they would be rested, that they would be completely and rested full. Father, all these things we ask in your name, and we give the highest praise by saying, Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
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 All right, everybody, until next week, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Talk to you later, Rock.
Okay, my brother.
This is what happens when you press the end button and it don't work. Clear notifications. Then press the end button. There we go.